Hey there, it's Faith Talk today. I'm Rick Probst. How are you? Hope you're having a great Atlanta weekend. And we've got one of our favorites, and I mean that, Pastor Alistair Begg with us. He's got a new study out. It's called Ecclesiastes, Chasing the Wind. Pastor, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's nice to get a chance to talk to you again.
Now, I had an opportunity to our sister station in Little Rock, Marston, Steve Marston interviewed you, and I had a chance to catch that this morning, and so I took some notes, and I was so excited that I got to see it, and it prepped me more that I sent my producer Adam this text, and I said I just caught a live interview on Facebook with Steve Marston. Got some more details about Blister's new book. Instead, you know how when you text sometime if you're not paying
Sure.
attention.
Yeah,
So I apologize. I called you Blister. Uh,
that's okay. There's been a lot worse than that, I can guarantee you.
Actually, my Scotch Irish grandmother used to call me Blister, but that was a whole nother issue. She said that,
Yeah.
Ricky, you're a blister. But anyway, a great book that you have a new study out. We want to talk to you about it. I remember a few months back we talked about Ruth, and we got so much out of just our conversation. And here you are again talking about Ecclesiastes, chasing the wind. Why? Why did you decide? And no doubt this took some time to sit down and dig and listen and write, because you always say, and I love this, that you like to write not like text, but like a voice so that people hear what you're trying to say. But why
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes?
Well, like many things, the fact that I was writing in order to be heard, which gave the audio version of Ecclesiastes, that then created an interest on the part of the folks at New Growth Press to say, how about we work with you to take what you have done in an audio framework and see if we can't do something with it that would be helpful in this kind of more Bible study context. And so that's what's given rise to it. And Ecclesiastes, as I was saying earlier in the day, has such a timeless quality to it
Mm-hmm.
when people are trying to make sense of their lives.
And you know, I was looking through. I got my Bible and I opened it up to Ecclesiastes, and it's one of the lesser marked books in my Bible. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got, there are some scriptures that I've marked and I've read them over and over again. But as I look through it, it's almost like a desert. So there's got to be some deep things in here. As Solomon being the writer of Ecclesiastes, that what I've read is there is kind of a reflection of his
Yeah.
life, and it can be a little negative. He just put together Proverbs not too long before that, and it makes me wise and strong. And but Ecclesiastes to me is more human. How is God speaking to us through that now?
Well, there are questions about the authorship of Ecclesiastes. I think Solomon is a good choice, and the way I understand it is that Solomon sets out to solve the riddle of life,
Hmm.
the experience of life as he encounters it. But he decides that he will do so without reference to God, that he will consider life, as he puts it, under the sun.
Hmm.
And so he walks his readers down a whole host of dead end streets. And he points out the futility that is represented in trying to make sense of life without God. I mean, that's really what he's doing. Whether it's his own personal experience or whether he is adopting a posture in order to help people who can identify with it is a matter of, that's a matter of debate. What is not in question is the fact that he is showing that the quest for meaning, isolated from the revelation of God himself, the wisdom that comes from God as the creator and sustainer of the universe, is just exactly that. I mean, the theme music for this should be the Rolling Stones. I can get no satisfaction, but I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. And he starts off, he says, I tried wisdom, I tried work, I tried wine, women, song, parks, leisure. I gave it all a good go, and I found that I was trying to grab a hold of something that wasn't actually there. Now, he wrote that a long time ago, but I just went looking for this and I found it in a little book that I keep notes and quotes in. But Einstein, who is regarded as one of the great geniuses of the 20th century, in his credo, where he gives us the underpinning of his philosophy of life, he writes, "Our situation on this earth seems strange. Every one of us appears here involuntarily and uninvited for a short stay without knowing the whys and the wherefores."
Wow.
Well, hey, thanks for that, Einstein. You may be really clever, but we're not going to put that on the back of a T-shirt. You can't put that on the front and then on the back put "Have a nice day," because it's an expression of futility and of emptiness. And Western culture is in many ways the embodiment of these dead-end streets.
So good. Pastor Alistair Begg from Truth for Life, truthforlife.org. Of course, you hear Pastor Alistair on Faith Talk Atlanta. The new study's called Ecclesiastes, Chasing the Wind. You personally, what did you draw from yourself as you were going through this? And no doubt you've ministered in some form or fashion in Ecclesiastes, as you pastor churches, on the radio, in the public. But what you personally, what got your attention?
Well, the whole thing got my attention. I think probably my encounter with Ecclesiastes as a young man or as a boy was probably in the same context as would be true for many, namely the 12th chapter of Ecclesiastes, where Solomon says, "Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come." And then he uses this amazing picture of our human existence being like a house. And it's actually quite humorous if you consider it, as he talks about how we begin to grow deaf. Our eyesight is in need of help. We may have, in dental terms, inadequate occlusion. In other words, we don't have enough teeth on the top to fit the few that we've got left on the bottom. And we try to find ways to get to sleep, and then we can be wakened up even by the sound of birds. And he's working his way through this, and he's essentially saying, you better get this figured out before all of this hits you. And then he comes to the end and he says, and here's the conclusion of the matter: fear God and keep his commandments. And of course, to fear God is not to fear his punishment, but is to fear God is to love God, is to obey God, is to trust God. And he's saying, if you're trying to navigate your life absent that dimension, then you ought not to be surprised by all that comes your way.
That's Ecclesiastes 12:13. I had that marked in my Bible to ask you about it, because the end, he says this is NLT, but he says that's the whole story. Here now is my final conclusion: fear God and obey his commandments. How easy. I mean, how simple is that?
Yeah. And yet by nature, we can't. And we won't, and we don't. We are, people are being brought up with an educational system that begins immediately wrongly. I mean, our view of the world begins with the opening phrase of the Bible: "In the beginning, God."
Yeah.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And any system of understanding the universe that sidesteps that has immediately gone wrong, no matter where else it goes. And so Ecclesiastes is wonderfully helpful in that regard. I mean, one of the other things that he says is, and he has some provocative statements. For example, he says that it is better to go to a house of mourning than to a house of feasting, which in contemporary terms, it's better to go to a funeral than going out for pizza. And then he says, because death is the destiny of everyone, and the living must bring this to heart, or they must get their heads around this. He's saying this is the one eventuality that you can't escape. And the very fact that we play games with this, which again is actually illustrated in the songs of the 60s, all the games people play now every night and every day now, never thinking what they say now, never saying what they mean.
Yeah.
And they while away the hours in the ivory towers till they're covered up in flowers in the back of a black limousine,
Yeah.
And that's it. We can run, you can run and you can hide if you want, but the statistics are pretty clear. 1 out of 1 dies. And therefore, any help that we can have in facing up to the one eventuality that is true for all of us is something that we ought to go looking for. And so he does quite a job in navigating the reader to his conclusion. And the contemporary scene as I say, in the West, in Britain, is chaos. In the United States, it's tracking pretty fast behind that same chaos. And it's a great opportunity for us, those of us who know the hope of the gospel and know that Jesus is the incarnate God, who know that Christmas is about him coming to fix the predicament that we all face. It's all good stuff, and Ecclesiastes can be very, very helpful in paring back the kind of illusions that people are living with and confronting them with sort of stark realities that, if they're honest, they really don't have an answer for at all.
So good. Pastor Alistair Begg, it's a new study. Hey, pick it up. You can go to truthforlife.org, wherever you get your Christian books. Ecclesiastes, Chasing the Wind. It is it's out, it's hot, and it's right there for you. So check it out. Pastor, always a great time. The time just flies by when we talk. Next time we'll have to talk, of course, we'll talk about what you're doing, but we'll talk music from the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
I think that would be awesome. Hey,
all right.
Thank you so much for what you do, Pastor. Have a great holiday, and I hope to talk to you many times in 2026. Thank you so much for listening to Faith Talk today. Again, go to truthforlife.org. Of course, you can listen to Pastor Alistair on Truth for Life right here at Faith Talk Atlanta. Have a good week. Another great guest next week. I'm Rick Probst. This is Faith Talk today. See ya.